Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. This is Asim here, and today we are back with the second part of common API bugs. So today we are gonna see Autorize live in action, finding or automating IDORs and user access control bugs. So I would show how it set it up in the burp, and then how you could use it to like step by step find IDORs in any of the applications. So it's a like kind of a detailed guide, but it's a short one because there's not a lot to do in IDORs. So yeah, let's start with this. Before we start, I wanted to ask because a lot of people I have seen that they watch the videos but they have not yet subscribed, as you could see here in the stats. And another thing, this video is part of the like a poll where on my Telegram channel where I asked folks about what video they want me to make next, and this was the most like voted video there. So most voted option there. So I started making on that. So if you haven't yet subscribed to the or joined the Telegram channel, make sure you do that. I post articles there and sometimes polls also. So yeah. With that said, let's start with this. So here on the screen you could see this is the victim's account, as you could see here, victim@gmail.com, and then there's another account, attacker@gmail.com. So whenever you have to test for IDORs, you need to have two accounts so that you could surely test it very easily. So that's that. Now let me show my burp. So this is my burp. This is the community edition, and it's good enough to use Autorize and test it because Autorize is a free extension. So if you are like before setting up Autorize, you need to have Jython installed, if I remember correctly. So Jython is, you could see here, the Python environment. You just need to download the Jython standalone jar file. You would find it online on Google. And then wherever you have downloaded it, just add the location of that jar file here. After you have done that, from the BAP store, you could go and install Autorize here. So it's a free extension, so it would work with the Burpsuit Community Edition as well. Now this is the default screen that you would see once you have this. You could untick this, ignore thing, and check out authenticated. So I'll be talking about what are the different options here and what you should use. So the first thing you would do is you would need to get the cookie of the other, or like the attacker's cookie. So let me set this to proxy. So this is a Foxy proxy add-on that I use. So once I have set that up, if I click on any of these links, it would automatically show it here in the like HTTP history. And from here I could just copy these these headers. So let me copy all these. So I haven't copied this user agent thing. I've just copied what are different things like X user email, the authorization header. These I would remove. Then the cookie header. So these are the most important things. So if you find any header that you're not sure about, you just copy it, because it's better to have more headers than to have less one. Now what you do is you just paste it here. So I'll be explaining what it is actually doing and how it is doing. Let me first put it here. So I've removed the sec fetch headers because we only needed the cookie one and the authorization and the X user email. So this has been set. The other thing that I always do is I create a scope here. So if you go to this scope, so first check this one, use advanced scope control. Then go to the like proxy tab, right click on adding to scope. So yeah, yes. So clicking yes, it won't accumulate further any like other non-scoped items. So I would do that. So it's useful because once you are testing for like say hour, 2 hours, something like that. So a lot of traffic gets accumulated and a lot of noise would also get accumulated. So the like I would say the good thing about bug bounty, or the efficient way to do it, is to avoid noise, and this is like a very good approach to do that. So go to this. I always change this to any, and this I remove it here. I try to keep it as lenient as is. So this is basically matching what are the URLs that are in scope. So if this is hackingsimplified.herokuapp.com, so this is OWASP juice shop that I have deployed it on Heroku. You could easily deploy it. It's free of charge, so you don't have to pay anything. Now once that's done, in Autorize I also set this one scope items only, because I don't want Autorize to test for non-scoped items. So that I would add it here. Now once we have this set up, we can turn burp here off. Now we don't require that browser. We just need to this victims account. So what I would do is I would set this up. Use burp for all URLs. Let me. So Autorize is on. Now whenever I do any request, so what Autorize would do is it would send the same request with those headers, the cookie and authorization and X user email. So it would replace those headers with my attacker's emails headers and try to get the same endpoints. So let's say if I do a orders page or if I do a checkout page, so it would try to do the same request using my attacker's credentials or attacker's headers and cookies. So that's what you essentially do in IDOR. You try to access a request. Sorry. You try to access a resource which isn't yours, and then you check whether you are still able to access it or not. So it's doing the same thing. It's replicating that using the attacker's credentials or attacker's headers. So let me do. So whatever functionality you would test as a normal user, you just go on with the flow, and it would try to check those things. These are some of the changes that it's automatically getting solved. So it's sort of like it's checking view basket, view another user's shopping basket. So that has happened because, so you could see the like colorful screen here. So what has happened here is like basket items, or let's say this one, basket 7. So this is the basket of this particular user. So if I go to the request and response views, let's click on collapse, sorry. So this is the modified request, the first one. So here we are using the credentials of attacker. So you could see attacker@gmail.com. And if I see the response is blank. Same goes for, this is the original request, and here we would see X request is for the victim's email account. So victims headers are used and the response is blank. So basically the response has been matched, and since it's the same, so it's showing as bypassed. Whereas the unauthenticated status means that there aren't any headers sent, and then they are still trying to access that resource. So if it's still able to access it, then it basically means that unauthenticated user could still, they could also access those resources, which should not be the case. So it checks for both of these things, like access from other user and access from unauthenticated user at the same time. So let's close this. Let me add it to basket. Oh, I've already added basket. Now let's see. So I'm just testing the flow as it is, as it should be. So here's the basket. Now let's go to the checkout page. It's showing the select a new address. Let me add India. So I'm just submitting it to add a new address. So if as a normal user I would try to check all these flow, and Autorize is sending similar request on the back as well. So here the address has been added. Let's continue with this. User delivery speed. Let's see. Victim's address. So I try to change the ID to decreasing order so that I could check. So here we could see that the API addresses has also been bypassed. So this is the modified response. Let's see. So you could see victim's address. So the attackers, using the attacker's credentials, the attacker was able to get the victim's address as well. And what was the actual request here? API get API addresses, and so whatever addresses are there, you could get all the addresses here. So that's why I got the victim's address. Now let me choose, let's say 1-day delivery. Continue. Pay using wallet, pay using credit card. I don't have wallet, so let's say victims. So I would also talk about some of the false positives that you're gonna find here, so that you have an idea as to how it's happening. Let's do a continue. So here the basket should be shown, and then I would place my order. Yep, place your order and pay. So let's continue flow, then I would talk about. So here it's a Twitter link which would allow us to tweet this URL that I bought it, and then there's this print order confirmation. So let's check this out. So in most of the cases when you are accessing static files like PDF or JS and all that, so they have very lax access control. It's only like they are only protected by the unique identifier. So it's kind of security through obscurity. So in most of the cases, if you have the URL, you might be able to access it directly through a maybe also unauthenticated user, as well as through, let's say, authenticated user but with different credentials, like like we would be able to access it through attacker's account. So if we see this receipt, we see the victim's email address and whatever they have bought. So it's basically a leakage of PII. So let's see whether we are able to access it here or not. So now we have kind of checked the flow of from adding to basket to the checkout, and also checked the different functionalities like adding card, adding address and all that. And we have also checked this print confirmation thing. So kind of we have tested a single flow. There are other functionalities as well. So I won't be like checking all that, but it's the same thing. You just go on and check those functionality, and Autorize would automatically send requests for them as well. So let's see what all have been bypassed and what all are false negatives or false positives. So wherever the auth status and unauth status, auth status is wherever your attacker's cookie has been used and they are still able to access the resource. So what it does is checks for the original length response. So here if you see 1822 and modified length response, so it's again 1822. So if it's the same in modified request and it's on the unauthenticated request, so it infers that it has been bypassed. Like if you see here, so in both of the cases, in authenticated request and even in unauthenticated request, you were still able to access the PDF file, which I already told that in most of the cases the static files are not protected as they should be in other places. So let's see what happened here. So this the middle one is the original request, and we got the original response as the PDF file. So this is the contents of the PDF file. So yeah, and if I see here in the, like, let's say in the modified request, so if I see the modified response, we again got the PDF file. So it's a garbage value because it's a binary format kind of thing, but you could see that it starts with PDF, which is the meta header of it. So you are sure that it's PDF. Also in the unauthenticated request, if we see, so in unauthenticated response also we are still able to get it. If you want to verify it, just copy this here and open it in an incognito tab. So if you're still able to get the PDF, that basically means that it's a bypass of all checks. So you could see that victim's email address is being leaked and this is the receipt. So if you just iterate over the different IDs or the different PDF UUIDs, this is called a UUID. So then you would be able to access everyone else's PDFs, and like their email would get leaked. So that's a severe PII thing issue. So yeah, we check that, and let's see. So this application configuration, so 000, so like that's not very consequential, so we could skip that. Let's check for this track order. So what we got in the original response, it was the victim's email was kind of starred, but we got the quantity and what they are able to buy. Let's see in the modified response or the attacker's response. So there also you could see the victim email is like censored, and we could still see what they have purchased. So yeah, here also we could see that it has happened. And if even in the unauthenticated response, we could see that an unauthenticated user could also get the order details if they had the unique ID. Same goes for basket. So an authenticated user or a different user can access the, like, what are the different things in the basket number 7 as the original user would get, but an unauthenticated user won't get it. Let's see some false positives. Cards has been enforced. So original response, they get the actual victim's card, whereas in modified response you don't get it. Malicious activity detected. So that's how you see that there was this enforced thing, and here it was the same. So even if you check the original length response, so here in the actual response there was 210 characters, whereas in modified length it was only 55. Who am I enforced? Because yeah, you get different response for different. So whatever user is trying to access the who am I endpoint, they get the response for them. So yeah, address. So you're not able to access the different address that's there. I remember of this one. So application on, I think I remember there was a false positive somewhere, or maybe you could just ignore that. Yeah. So let's see this continue code one. So original response, you got a continue code, which was which could be some token kind of thing. So we got a token for this original request. So the victim's request, we got this continue code. For the attackers also, we got something that was also a continue code was the same for them. And then in unauthenticated response, so it's you might think that it could be a CSR token or something like that. So we got the same for all these. So even though it's showing bypass, but it's not actually there. Let's summarize what we did here. So first thing you would do is you go to the extended tab, you install, you check the options here, you check for the Python environment. You should have the Jython standalone jar files path here. So once you download it, add the path here. You could click on the select file and then choose the Jython jar file from there. You could get it online as well. There's not an issue around that. Next thing, you go to the BAP store, you go to Autorize, you click the install button here. Since I've already installed it, it shows reinstall. After I've done it, you just set up proxy as you do it. You set up scope as you do it. It's the normal flow. Go to Autorize. So the first thing you do is you set up burp on the attacker's account and try to get one or two requests from there. So once you have done that, you get the cookies and headers of the attacker's account, which you can use in Autorize. So after I've done that, you close the burp here from the Foxy proxy. Then you go to the normal victims session, and before that, you click on this Autorize and you add the headers here. You click, you check, see that these configurations are same, like check unauthenticated as well. And here you could add scope items only to avoid a lot of traffic. That would help you there. So yeah, and then just after this, just click on Autorize. All this has been set up. Now just browse the web application as you would do as a normal user, and then Autorize would automatically try to check the different endpoints. So test thoroughly any of the flows that you are trying. That see, like here we saw the checkout flow. So we tested it from end to end. Like we added an item to the basket, then we went on to add the address, we went on to add the cards, and then finally we did a payment through the card, and also checked the confirmation order by clicking on the print confirmation receipt, where we saw there was another bug that this receipt could be accessed by any other unauthenticated users as well. So once this flow has been done, you could see that like you have tested one segment of that. Now just go on to the Autorize screen and see what are the different things that has been is in red, and check whether they are actually true positive or they are false positives. In very few cases you might see false positives. It depends on the applications as well. But yeah, that's that. So hope you enjoyed this. Next, I will try to make videos on mobile app pen testing. So we'll start with static analysis and then move on with some maybe say dynamic analysis kind of thing. So yeah, stay tuned and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Have a nice day.